stop what you're doing, because Drake may have just made the single biggest mistake of his entire career. Fans can't believe what just went down. The internet is in shock. Social media is flooded with outrage. And even some of Drake's most loyal supporters are saying this might be the one move he'll never recover from. This isn't about a bad lyric, a missed concert, or a shady rumor. No, this is much bigger. We're talking about a decision so reckless, so out of touch, that it could permanently stain his reputation and shift the balance of power in hip-hop forever. Insiders are already calling it career suicide. Blogs are exploding with theories, and fans are demanding answers. Was this Drake's ego finally catching up to him? Was it arrogance? Or was it something darker? A desperate gamble that backfired spectacularly? And here's where it gets even wilder. The fallout isn't just embarrassing, it's dangerous. We're talking leaked footage, furious fans, celebrity clapbacks, and whispers of betrayal inside Drake's own camp. This isn't a small misstep. This is a full-on disaster unfolding in real time. So buckle up, because once you hear what Drake did, you'll understand why the internet is calling this the biggest mistake of his career, and why it may already be too late to fix it. To understand why this moment feels so catastrophic for Drake, we need to rewind. Because this wasn't just one slip-up. It was a result of years of building, battling, and balancing on the razor's edge of fame, ego, and power. Drake has spent over a decade cementing himself as one of the most dominant forces in hip-hop history. From So Far Gone to Take Care, from Nothing Was the Same to Views, every project became a cultural event. He wasn't just a rapper. He was a chart-dominating, meme-generating, stadium-selling icon who managed to stay untouchable while his rivals fell one by one. But with dominance comes danger, and Drake has always played with fire. Remember the feud with Meek Mill that nearly buried him? Until Drake flipped it into one of the most legendary comebacks in hip-hop history? Then came the quiet tension with Kanye, the icy distance with Jay-Z, and most recently, the full-scale lyrical war with Kendrick Lamar that left fans questioning whether Drake was truly invincible anymore. Through it all, Drake built his brand not just on music, but on the illusion of perfection. He was a rapper who couldn't miss, the artist who always stayed one step ahead of the culture. Even when scandals hit, rumors about ghostwriters, industry politics, messy relationships, he spun them into gold, making himself a topic of conversation without ever fully falling off. But here's the thing, when you live at the top for too long, every single move becomes a gamble. One wrong step isn't just a mistake, it's a potential collapse. And Drake has been skating dangerously close to that line for years. Insiders have whispered for months that the pressure was getting to him. The constant competition, the need to outdo himself, the paranoia about staying relevant as younger artists like Lil Baby, J. Cole, and even his own former protégés began to rise. Then came the public humiliation from Kendrick's lyrical assault, painting Drake as insecure, fake, and fragile beneath the glitz. For the first time, the Sixth God looked shaky. And that's exactly why this moment feels so inevitable. The mistake Drake just made didn't come out of nowhere. It was years of ego, years of risky moves, years of ignoring the cracks in his armor. To the public, Drake has always projected control. He controlled the narrative, the charts, the culture. But behind the curtain, his empire has been wobbling. Sources close to OVO whisper about growing frustration within his team. Deals gone wrong, collaborations falling apart, and even his fan base splitting into defenders and doubters. And now, with this latest decision, whatever motivated it, whether arrogance, carelessness, or desperation, it feels like the dam has finally broken. Fans aren't just shocked, they're questioning him. And in Drake's world, that's the one thing he's never been able to allow: doubt. Because here's the truth, Drake's power has always rested on more than just music. It's been built on the illusion of flawlessness. That every release would be a hit, every verse a meme, every move a calculated flex. The moment that illusion cracks, the empire becomes vulnerable. And right now, after this blunder, fans aren't just stunned, they're calling it the biggest mistake of Drake's career. But what exactly happened? What was the decision that spiraled into this nightmare? That's where the story takes a turn. Because once we dive into the major conflict, the betrayal, the leaked messages, and the explosive fallout, you'll see why fans are saying Drake may never recover from this. The bombshell moment didn't arrive in a song or an interview. It came in a move so reckless, it instantly set the internet ablaze. Drake, the master strategist, Mr. Calculated, made the single biggest miscalculation of his career. And this time, there was no clever Instagram caption or chart-topping rebuttal to save him. It all began when Drake announced a surprise rollout for what was supposed to be his most ambitious project yet. The promo promised something groundbreaking, something that would silence his critics once and for all. But instead of delivering a masterpiece, fans got a shocking mess, one that exposed everything they feared about him: arrogance, desperation, and carelessness. According to insiders, Drake ignored his team's warnings and went all in on a controversial collaboration with an artist currently facing massive industry backlash. The reveal hit like a thunderclap. Fans didn't just groan, they erupted. Twitter lit up with comments such as, "Drake thought this was a good idea? Career suicide." Others piled on, "Of all people to collab with YM, Drake's lost it." And just as people were still reeling from the announcement, the nightmare escalated. Hours before the official release, leaks began spreading across social media. Entire tracks surfaced, featuring lyrics that left fans stunned. In one leaked verse, Drake allegedly took aim not only at rivals, but at his own supporters, mocking those who doubted him during the Kendrick feud. "Y'all still streaming while complaining. Truth is, you need me more than I need you." The arrogance in that line sparked outrage. Fans felt insulted and betrayed. Even some of Drake's most loyal supporters admitted it sounded like he was spitting in the faces of the very people who built his empire. Then came the first twist. Screenshots began circulating, allegedly from private OVO group chats. In the messages, members of Drake's own team appeared to plead with him not to release the project as it was. One chilling line from an insider read, "Bro, this ain't it. The backlash will be nuclear. Please don't do this." Drake's alleged reply, "They'll eat it up. They always do." That single sentence landed like a dagger. Fans felt exposed, manipulated, and played. The idea that Drake saw them not as a loyal community, but as guaranteed consumers was viewed as the ultimate betrayal. The man who built a career on relatability had, in their eyes, revealed that he only saw numbers. Social media erupted into a war zone. Hashtags like hashtag Drake is over party, hashtag biggest flop, and hashtag arrogant Aubrey trended worldwide. YouTubers released reaction videos with titles like The Fall of Drake, How the Sixth God Lost the Streets, and Drake's Worst Decision Ever. The fallout didn't stop with fans. Rumors swirled that major collaborators were quietly backing out of deals, unwilling to be associated with the chaos. But the most brutal blow came from streaming numbers. Leaked data from Spotify and Apple Music showed that the new tracks were tanking compared to his past rollouts. For the first time in years, Drake wasn't dominating. He was free falling. And then came the kicker. Kendrick Lamar's name started trending alongside the chaos, with fans pointing out that Drake's blunder only proved Kendrick's accusations right. Memes spread like wildfire, showing side-by-side comparisons of Kendrick calling Drake fake, and Drake's fans now calling him arrogant. The timing was devastating, but the disaster didn't end there. The deeper the internet dug, the worse it got. Alleged emails leaked suggesting that Drake's controversial collaboration wasn't just a business decision, it was personal. Reports claimed Drake had promised a partnership months earlier as a deliberate middle finger to the industry. It wasn't just carelessness, it was a deliberate act of defiance, and it backfired catastrophically. Suddenly, the narrative shifted. Drake was no longer seen as a superstar who made a misstep. He was cast as an out-of-touch giant whose ego had finally caught up with him. The question was no longer, can Drake recover? It became, is this the beginning of the end? But the next escalation would push things to levels nobody could have imagined. The fallout wasn't confined to the internet. It began spreading to the industry itself, pulling in rappers, producers, and even former allies who were now turning their backs on Drake in the most public way possible. For fans who thought the disastrous rollout was the peak of the storm, they were dead wrong. The chaos was only beginning. What started as a mistake spiraled into a full-blown industry crisis. The first wave was betrayal. Within days of the backlash, Word spread that some of Drake's most trusted collaborators had quietly distanced themselves. A-list producers allegedly pulled out of projects. A major feature, rumored to come from a top-tier female rapper, mysteriously disappeared from the album's track list. Fans quickly connected the dots. She didn't want to be tied to the fallout. Then came whispers that certain sponsors were reconsidering their partnerships with OVO. The message was clear. Drake's blunder wasn't just embarrassing. It was stripping him of real industry power. Next came the celebrity reactions. Kanye West, never one to miss a chance to jab, posted a cryptic message. Funny how the throne gets heavy when you ain't built for it. Fans instantly tied it to Drake's meltdown. Memes comparing Kendrick Lamar's ruthless precision to Drake's clumsy blunder spread like wildfire. Even rappers who typically avoided drama couldn't resist subtle shade. J. Cole reposted a quote on Instagram. Your biggest enemy is your own ego. The timing felt too perfect to be coincidence. But the harshest blow came from within Drake's own fan base. Long-time stan accounts, pages that had worshipped him for years, suddenly flipped, publishing threads like, why we can't defend Drake anymore and the downfall of the sixth god. For an artist whose empire was built on loyalty, this was catastrophic. Then came the shocking reveal that turned everything upside down. A well-known hip-hop blog released what they claimed were leaked internal OVO documents. According to the files, Drake's controversial collaboration wasn't just a creative choice. It was financially driven. The documents alleged that OVO had been struggling with declining revenue streams, and Drake pushed the collab as a strategy to reignite hype and secure international brand deals. If true, it meant Drake's biggest mistake wasn't just about ego. It was about desperation. The superstar who once sat on top of the world now appeared to be scrambling to keep his empire afloat. Fans were stunned. For years, Drake had projected an image of invincibility, wealth, and dominance. But the leaks painted a different picture, a vulnerable artist chasing deals just to maintain relevance. One viral tweet captured the sentiment perfectly. Drake went from sixth god to sixth fraud. This ain't the champ move we expected. The damage was irreparable. Late-night hosts cracked jokes about Drake selling out. TikTok creators flooded the platform with parody skits of OVO team meetings, showing his staff begging him not to sabotage himself. Memes comparing him to fallen icons of the past, artists who've flown too close to the sun, spread like wildfire. But the escalation didn't stop there. Another wave of leaks hit the internet. This time, alleged voice notes. In them, a voice eerily similar to Drake's vented to a confidant. They think I'm untouchable. They don't realize I made this whole game. If they hate it, they'll still play it. They need me more than I need them. The arrogance in the clip fueled even more backlash. Fans felt mocked, manipulated, and dismissed. Real or fake? The recording cemented an image of Drake as detached and out of touch with the very audience that built him. And just when it seemed Drake had lost all control of the narrative, the final blow of his chapter landed. Spotify data revealed his new material had dropped nearly 40% in streams compared to his last release. For an artist who prided himself on being the undisputed king of streaming, the humiliation was undeniable. Drake's blunder was no longer just a slip-up. It had become a chain reaction, exposing his vulnerabilities, alienating his fans, and cracking the foundation of his empire. Then came the cliffhanger. Rumors swirled that Kendrick Lamar, Drake's fiercest rival, was preparing to drop another diss track, one aimed at exploiting Drake's weakest moment yet. If it landed now, it wouldn't just be a blow. It could be the finishing move. The backlash didn't just ripple across social media. It detonated like a cultural bomb. Drake's mistake had broken out of the hip-hop bubble and into the mainstream. Headlines, talk shows, Twitter spaces. Even political commentators were weighing in on what it meant for one of the biggest stars of the generation to fall this hard, this fast. On Twitter, the battle lines were drawn in neon. Hashtags like hashtag Drake is over party, hashtag biggest mistake, and hashtag 6God down trended for days. One viral thread, with over 1 million views, read, Drake thought he was untouchable, but the truth is the fans made him, and now the fans are tearing him down. Replies filled the timeline. This ain't hate, it's disappointment. We grew up with him, and now he's spitting on us. Others added, "He's rich, he'll survive, but his reputation? Done." Kendrick tried to tell us. We didn't listen. TikTok exploded with edits. Old clips of Drake laughing in interviews were paired with captions like, "When you think you can't flop," before cutting to screenshots of his plummeting streams. Some creators stitched the leaked lyrics against Kendrick's diss, arguing that Drake had unintentionally proven every accusation right. The humiliation wasn't private. It was being memed into cultural memory. Meanwhile, Instagram turned into a battleground. Drake's comment sections, once filled with praise and heart emojis, became flooded with snake icons, clown memes, and long angry essays from fans who felt betrayed. His silence only amplified the backlash. Each day without a response hardened the narrative. Drake wasn't just wrong, he was weak. But the reactions that cut deepest came from within the industry. Rick Ross, once a close collaborator and friend, went live on Instagram with a cryptic warning. When you get too big, you stop listening. And when you stop listening, you stop learning. That's when the downfall begins. Meek Mill, who once suffered one of hip-hop's most infamous losses to Drake, tweeted simply, "Tables always turn." Then came the most shocking reaction. Rihanna, whose complicated history with Drake has always fascinated fans, liked a tweet dragging him for arrogance. That single tap sent her fan base into overdrive, with thousands declaring Rihanna had officially washed her hands of him. The industry wasn't just watching. It was circling. Media outlets piled on. Rolling Stone ran the headline. Did Drake just end his own legacy? Billboard asked. The Six Gods Fall. Is this Drake's biggest misstep ever? Even CNN covered the story, framing it within a cultural discussion about celebrity invincibility and public accountability. Meanwhile, a pocket of loyalists fought back. Supporters launched a counter hashtag, #ForeverDrake, insisting the backlash was overblown and fueled by jealousy. One fan tweeted, "Every legend goes through a rough patch. Y'all acting like he hasn't carried the game for a decade. Drake will bounce back." But their optimism was drowned out by the overwhelming tide of memes, mockery, and disappointment. The split became cultural. For some, Drake's misstep was a betrayal too deep to forgive. For others, it was just another chapter in the saga of a complicated superstar. But to everyone, one truth was undeniable. The aura of invincibility around Drake had cracked. And the memes? They were relentless. Yet the most chilling reactions came from insiders. Whisper networks buzzed with claims that brands were backing away. Sponsors were hesitant. And even members of Drake's own team were quietly looking for the exit. The mistake hadn't just cost him clout. It was threatening the foundation of his empire. Then, just as fans thought the drama had reached its peak, whispers of final twist began to surface. One so devastating it could transform his mistake from a crisis into a career-ending catastrophe. For 24 hours, the internet braced itself. Industry insiders teased that a major leak was imminent, something far worse than a failed collab or arrogant voice notes. Fans refreshed their timelines like vultures, waiting for the hammer to fall. And when it did, the explosion was louder than anyone imagined. A notorious gossip blog dropped what it claimed were leaked OVO financial reports. The documents, though unverified, painted a damning picture. Drake wasn't just making risky creative choices. He was allegedly covering up deep cracks in his empire. The files pointed to plummeting merch sales, canceled tour dates quietly refunded, and declining investments in his OVO label. For fans, this wasn't just a mistake anymore. It reeked of desperation. And then came the cliffhanger no one expected. The leak allegedly included a contract between Drake and his controversial collaborator, revealing the deal wasn't about music at all. It was tied to a multi-million-dollar branding agreement that directly contradicted the image Drake had spent years cultivating. If true, this wasn't just hypocrisy. It was betrayal on a massive scale. The fallout was instant. Fans felt deceived, used. The memes turned darker, painting Drake not just as arrogant, but as a sellout. Twitter threads accused him of selling his soul just to stay relevant. Even celebrities began openly distancing themselves. One R&B star tweeted cryptically, "Never compromise your art for a check. Some lessons ain't worth learning." Fans immediately connected the dots. But the deadliest blow came in the form of a rumor. that Kendrick Lamar, Drake's fiercest rival, was preparing to drop another diss. This time, it would aim directly at the fallout from Drake's biggest mistake. The thought was chilling. Kendrick, already seen by many as the victor of their feud, swooping in to finish Drake at his weakest moment. Fans braced for blood. The internet buzzed with one haunting question. If Kendrick fires again while Drake is drowning, could it mark the official end of his reign? And that's where the cliffhanger leaves us. Drake's empire shaking, his fan base divided, and the industry circling like sharks. One mistake has spiraled into a cultural crisis, and the next move, whether from Drake or Kendrick, could change hip-hop forever. This isn't the conclusion. It's the prelude to the next war. Drake, the man once seen as untouchable, is now cornered by the very machine he built. His biggest mistake has triggered a storm of leaks, betrayals, and humiliations that even he can't spin away with a catchy hook. But the real question isn't whether Drake messed up. That much is clear. The question is, can he recover? Does he have one more move left? A comeback track that silences critics and reclaims his crown? Or has arrogance, miscalculation, and desperation finally destroyed the invincible image he carried for more than a decade? Drop your thoughts below, because this debate isn't just about Drake. It's about the culture. What does this moment say about hip-hop? About fame? About how quickly fans can flip from worship to wrath. One day, Drake was the sixth god, the man who never missed. The next, he's being memed as the biggest flop of the decade. Did fans go too far? Or did Drake bring it all on himself? And here's the most chilling part. Rumors continue to swirl that Kendrick Lamar is preparing to strike again. Imagine what happens if Kendrick drops another diss right now, while Drake is bleeding in front of the entire world. So what do you think? Could this finish Drake for good, or could it push him into the fight of his life? This is where you come in. Flood the comments with your theories. What do you think the final twist really means? Was Drake desperate to secure brand deals because his empire is cracking? Were the leaks authentic or carefully manufactured? And if Kendrick really drops another diss, whose side will you be on? Don't just watch this story. Be part of it. Like this video if you believe Drake's downfall is real. Share it with your friends who swore he could never flop. And most importantly, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because this isn't over. The next chapter is already being written, and you'll want to be here the moment it drops. Because whether you love him or hate him, one truth is undeniable. Drake's biggest mistake has already changed hip-hop forever. The only question now, is this the beginning of the end, or the beginning of his most shocking comeback yet? Stay tuned. The culture war is just getting started.